We're going to talk about Andy Farrell here, though. So there's a couple of things. He obviously responded to Brian O'Driscoll. He was asked about it in the press conference. Brian O'Driscoll said there's not enough dog in the pack. And like, he's going to go, yeah, you're right. There's not enough dog in the pack. Jesus, I mean, I hadn't noticed.
You know what? I'm actually culling the entire pack now.
We're getting the under-21s in and we're going to play them this week. I mean, like, he's kind of in a difficult scenario there where it's like, yeah. I mean, and yet, when you read the comments, he's kind of agreeing with what O'Driscoll was saying. I'll find that bit if you want to talk a little bit more about... When
you were saying Conor Murray was saying it was good fun, the Monday morning review session.
Yeah.
Now, I want to hear Conor Murray's tone of voice before we can actually conclude that it was good fun.
Yes, it was good fun. There's a gun to my head under the table.
But you know, like...
2 blinks for Save Me.
You know the way, say, if you've missed 4 buses going home and it's pissing rain and you've just had a nightmare of a couple of hours, and somebody asks you, how's that? And you're like, oh, that was great fun.
Is this the night link? Oh, ironic.
Like, is that how he said it? Or is it like, no, it was genuinely good fun, good sport all around,
well, they're
really
all talking,
enjoyable experience?
They're talking about it. So they've changed their training base. They're now at the National Sports Campus in this purpose-built arena, and so the classroom is right beside the pitch. And what Andy Farrell says now, instead of having this big long review where they talk about stuff, they do a bit of the review and then they go out onto the pitch and they fix what was in the review and then they go back into the classroom and then they go back out again.
Makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Whereas previously it would have been the long review meeting, everybody
double maths.
And exactly, double maths on a Tuesday, last 2 classes before lunch. Mm-hmm. Everybody's hangry and tired. The heating is up and the windows are closed. Mm-hmm. Oof. Sine, cosine, tan. Oof. I actually quite enjoyed all those classes.
That's so did I. I actually found that trigonometry very accessible. But maybe these particular players found something that was that was not so.
And your time begins with an Eoin Sheehan. I actually found trigonometry quite accessible. You got that, Tommy? We clipping that?
It's true. I'm sure this is not
the first time you've blushed in months.
What can I say? You know, I'm proud of my honours maths background. But it makes sense that you would actually go into the classroom and go back out and then go back and forth.
No, you're right.
Like, why? This is not some sort of futuristic thinking from a coach.
No, it's just that they have the facility to do it right now.
Oh, so in Carton House, obviously, it was probably a bit away, maybe.
Corner, yeah, and maybe just Joe Schmidt didn't want to do that. He wanted to make sure that everyone was like getting it drilled into them. Henderson says as well that they're not afraid to ask questions now. In the past, maybe if you'd asked questions, people might have wondered if you didn't have all the detail. Now they're like, can you just explain that to me a bit more? So a more open, engaged environment and making the players think for themselves so that when it comes down to the crunch time, they'll actually be conditioned to do so, as opposed to, hey, our plan's not working, what do we do now, coach? Oh, you're up in the stands, you can't tell us what to do. 2 bits more from Andy Farrell. If we win a few more collisions and are a bit more accurate winning the race to the breakdown, the creative side will come a bit more. So he's essentially saying we need to establish a platform before we get incredibly creative. And this bit's, sometimes I thought we were too creative. Decision making was a little too expansive sometimes, but that's all a work in progress. These type of things do take time. I'm sure you saw little bits of glimpses of parts of it, but we'll get better. And he said there was plenty said about CJ Stander as well last week. He gave a man of the match performance. There's plenty of dog in them. I saw some good reactions from people. Sometimes they were rightly a bit upset with losing a few collisions. Then we saw a reaction. So, you've got to win those collisions a bit more. The Scots were able to make hay, but maybe that's all Scotland can do. And that's a team who are set up against Ireland to do that. Will the Welsh pack be able to? Yes, they will. Yes, they will be able to do exactly the same thing against us. Right. Rory O'Connor explained why he doesn't like the team picked to face Wales this weekend, in particular the back row. Have a look.
I think Peter O'Mahony's having a mixed, middling year, and I don't like that back row. I would like to move on from that back row. I think I know CJ Stander was man in the match last week, but I prefer him at 6. I prefer Peter O'Mahony at 6. I don't like. I would like a number 8 in the mould of a Doris or a Deegan or a Jamie Heaslip, and we have one of those in the squad who's fit, and he's gone for Deegan on the bench. I think the bolder call would have been to replace Doris with Deegan and to keep O'Mahony on the bench, even though he came in and did quite well. Also, Henshaw for Raki would have been a nice bit of freshness. Now, it turns out Will Allison isn't fit. They didn't tell us that yesterday when they released their injury information, but he's got a calf problem. I would have loved to seen Addison come in for Ringrose because I think he's more like for like. I also think Chris Farrell potentially offers a little bit more in terms of his hands and his ability to release players outside him. I just think against a team that held Ireland to no score for 83 minutes last season, that looks a little bit blunt, and I think you've lost one of your key attackers. Again, you're not calling. It's not like we're calling for the under-20s to be put into the team. There's good players in that squad, potentially better players for this task. But he's gone back to, in fairness, a guy who captained the Lions in the first test 3 years ago, and who was the vice captain in that sensational year.
And did make a bit of an impact when he came on.
He did. He was good. Yeah, he was good.
Effectively, he played the whole game.
He was good, but I just don't think he's getting. I think Ireland lost a lot of their carrying game when that back row was in the team.
Yeah, so, who was talking about maybe it was Joe made this point in the same thing, that there's a WhatsApp going around of the kids unveiling in Scooby-Doo the Joe Schmidt mask, and underneath it it's Andy Farrell, or the Andy Farrell mask, and underneath it is Joe Schmidt. It's like, oh, right, so you picked the same team that we would have. This is the exact same point that we were making yesterday. It's not a very new team, it's a very old team, and Farrell's contention has to be that he can do more with these players, and that the change in attitude is going to unlock something in them that was suppressed for the last 18 months.
And I think that's a fair thing to be going out to achieve. Like, I know people can say, well, they haven't done it over a prolonged period of time, therefore they're not going to be able to do it for the next little while, or perhaps ever again. But some people, need to look at their age profile. I disagree with that. I think that there is huge potential for there to be an upshot from these players. Like, if you take Rory Best's words when he was speaking at the end of the year, talking about why things went so badly wrong, like, he spoke about a small bit of a breakdown in how the players interacted with the coach, and the responsibility that was placed on the players. Like, that kind of stopped when you got to the World Cup, by all accounts, by Best's account anyway, it did. Now, he may be kind of, it would probably be in his interest to obviously protect the players and kind of put the blame on the coach. But
he wasn't, but I think he was sharing the blame. Like, they didn't speak up. They're responsible for that. Like, on match day, they're like saying, "Shut up, stop talking to us. There's too much detail here. We've got this."
Yeah.
That's on them. Like, that's a weakness on their part, I think, and that's what he was saying, in fairness.
Okay, like, it can be seen as a weakness on their part, but that does not suggest that these players are finished, or that these players don't have the potential to kind of take a step back and get back to taking control in the dressing room and then find their form again. So all is not lost for a lot of these players, and I think when it came to the back row selection, Andy Farrell's got it right.
Right. I think you're... I disagree, but anyway, will Ireland show more creativity against Wales on Saturday? Here's what Andy Farrell had to say.
Does continuity come at the expense of creativity, or will the message be more creative this weekend?
No, I thought we just need to see the opportunities. You know, I think if we win a few more collisions and a bit more accurate winning the race to the breakdown, I think the creative side will come a little bit more. Sometimes I thought we was too creative. Sometimes, you know, decision making was a little bit too expansive sometimes, but that's all work in progress. Those type of things, they do take time, you know. I'm sure that you saw little bits of glimpses of parts of it, you know, but we'll get better.
What is the collective confidence like, and is it where it needs to be with Wales coming here this weekend?
It's actually great, believe it or not. It is actually great because, I mean, what a position to be in. We've won our first game at home. Some good, some fix-ups. Scotland, you know, I don't think people are giving them the credit that they deserve. I've not seen Scotland play like that for a long time. They were ferocious in all sorts of contact within the game. I thought the set piece was absolutely excellent. They'd be deeply disappointed, I would have thought, because they threw everything at us in that game. So they've a lot to do with it. And we've got to manage that type of situation better as well, and we will do this weekend.
Yeah, that is interesting from Andy Farrell. Something else that Ron O'Gara made the point here on the show during the week as well, that there's a new defence coach in Scotland, that their defensive structure has changed, and that's having an immediate impact in terms of how they approach the collisions and stuff. So we'll see how well Scotland play this week against England. Eddie Jones obviously making usual Eddie Jones noises ahead of that. We'll talk about that a little bit later.